Do you wish you'd seen more zone throughout the first 6 games, maybe heading into this one, or?
Yeah, maybe. Going into it, Kentucky was playing
Yeah.
all zone or mostly zone, and Toledo's played a lot of zone, and trying to think who else that has, but really basically nobody's played it against us, and maybe it's because we shot the ball particularly well. I don't know, but even if we played against zone, it's not the same zone. So we'll try to attack this a little differently than what we would most conventional zones.
What does make it? Is it just length that makes it so?
Yeah, Link and I mean, this is what they do. They play to their scout report off of zone offense,
Yeah.
and where most people play to it off of both man and zone.
Sure.
So I mean, they know where the shooters are. They know how to tweak it if they're doing something that's hurting it. I mean, Jim knows, okay, when they get the ball flat, if it hurts us, this is how we'll adjust. If they get the ball to the high post and they're hurting us, this is how we'll adjust. I mean, he would make adjustments. It's not going to stay the same shape as what it is. 4 minutes into the game, it may take a different shape than what it did, to start the game.
How far back do you go with Coach Boeheim, and I guess what are your memories of working with him for years?
Well, I don't go that far back. I know that the year that we lost to Bucknell, they lost to Vermont, and I've always told them I thought Bucknell was a lot better than Vermont that particular year. But we actually played Vermont that year, if I'm not mistaken, Kopp and Rath in that group. But yeah, to me, Jim is one of the brightest guys that we have in our game. Everybody, E.F. Hutton would be giving him way more respect than what he probably should get. But in basketball coaches' worlds, when he says things, we usually listen. He's been very good with the NABC board over time with ideas and beliefs, and of course he's been unbelievably good with USA Basketball over time, and he's one of the best talent evaluators I think that we've seen as evidenced through that. But he's a good guy, and I think I've only had a chance to play against his teams twice, if I'm not mistaken. And if that's right, I'm trying to think that they beat us obviously in the Sprint Center a few years ago, or several years ago, and that may be the only time. I can't remember, but we haven't crossed paths that much in that regard.
How do you manage kind of the lack of depth you have with your team, and then going into this portion of the schedule where you're playing teams that are closer to your level and you have to obviously put a lot more effort into the game plans and the execution during the game?
Yeah, I think the lack of depth obviously is a huge factor if a guy gets injured or nicked up or foul trouble occurs. I think the big thing that we have to do is not put ourselves in a position where the latter becomes a factor, the foul situation, because we play smarter or maybe pay a little bit better attention to scouting report. Knock on wood, we've actually done a pretty good job with that so far. But that doesn't mean that Doak can't get 2 fouls in the first 3 minutes and be good calls. So I think we probably practice smart, probably practice shorter, get more done in a short amount of time, and keep them off their feet as much as possible. Because the reality of it is, if you look at our minutes, it's not any different than it has been. So Devontae's playing 32. We played more than 32 last year, or whoever's playing. It's just that those 7 guys are playing a lot of minutes. It's not like 1 or 2 guys are playing more minutes than what they're used to playing. So, but moving forward during this stretch, I guarantee it, those 32 will go to 35, and 31 will go to 33 or whatever. So we need to keep them off their feet as much as possible.
Were you happy with how Doak and Mitch managed the early fouls?
Yeah, they both got one real early, and yeah, I thought they did a good job in the last game. It's a little bit different competition, playing against Syracuse bigs. That's not any disrespect to Toledo at all, but certainly it's a comparable size comparison where those guys, or at least Doak, was quite a bit bigger.
What are some things that Doak can do to be a better defensive rebounder?
Well, I think, you know, thinking every rebound is his. I've always heard that the best rebounders are always the ones that want the ball the most. You can talk technique, you can talk a lot of things, but the bottom line, the guys that go after the ball get the majority of the rebounds. And I think that he is not near as aggressive doing that as what he should. I think that, you know, we're not asking to block out, but we are asking to at least check a guy or hit a guy before you release to go get, and he's not doing that very well, so he can certainly improve that. But I think it's a mindset. I really do, because he can show flashes in practice where he thinks every ball is his. But there's times where I think he's relies on LeGerald or Marcus just as much as he relies on himself to clean up the boards, and that's not going to be good moving forward.
Did Landon have a good mindset in that regard last year? with
Yeah,
rebounds?
Landon is a better rebounder than Doak. At the same, I mean, today, Landon would be a better rebounder than Udoka without question. But that doesn't mean that Udoka can't be every bit as good or better, you know, by the end of the season, which we're banking on him becoming that.
What do you think? What do you think of Syracuse's Pascal Chukwu so far this season?
He's good. You know, he actually visited here with his host family unofficially, and you know, of course, he's so long. Is he? Well, they list him at 7'2", and he's legitimate 7'2". You know, the guy from Texas Southern was like that as well, and they have similar builds, everything. And the guy from Texas Southern got the best of us, I thought. But certainly he can block shots, and you know, he can finish, you know, around the rim, either off catching it and dump offs, or basically, you know, off rebounding. They do a great job of forcing help, which creates rotation rebounding, which allow their bigs and their long wings to take a run at the basket. A lot of times it's a free run, and you know, he's good at that, but certainly they all are.
What do you expect to see between the matchup between him and Udoka?
Probably contrasting styles. You know, he's bigger than Doak height-wise, and Doak is obviously a lot thicker than he is. So you're probably going to have length, explosiveness in a lot of ways versus, you know, girth, and you know, Doak is going to have to do a good job of trying to catch the ball close to the basket, where maybe his length isn't much of a factor, as big a factor.
Bill, when it comes to maybe attacking the zone, are there any advantages with maybe having that four-guard lineup as opposed to maybe a more traditional one?
I do think there's some advantages. I also think that there's some things that aren't as advantage. And if you look at it, most people attack a zone with two guys inside. You know, you keep a high post and low post or short corner field. If you do that, you just took one of our best perimeter shooters off the perimeter. So could that be a disadvantage? Yeah, that could be a disadvantage. Instead of having to guard 4 perimeter shooters, now you're just guarding 3. You know, so we got to come up with some ways to take advantage of our strengths, which would be our perimeter shooting. But still, yet, you know, a big part of attacking the zone is attacking, you know, the high post area as well. So we got to do a good job where we force them to get to shooters, but at the same time be able to attack inside of it. And with our matchups and lineups, we haven't really experienced that yet, because it's been perimeter it's been teams trying to guard 4 shooters. And if you play a guy inside, you only got to guard 3. So we got to come up with some ways to take advantage of that.
A lot of that is technique, right? Is there a mindset, a mentality, or a philosophy that maybe plays into why their zone works so good? Teams get timid and they don't have that mindset to attack it.
You know, we actually, when we played them in 2008, I believe, they had Johnny Flynn and Paul Davis, and I think Devendorf may have been on the team, or Oahu. I mean, they had a really good team. We played them in Kansas City. We actually did a decent job in some ways of attacking, but I think the way that their zones is different now, and they're playing higher on the floor now than what they did then. You know, they actually went man when we got up about 12, and they beat us playing man to man. So, you know, we play Baylor zone. It's not the same zone, but certainly the length is comparable. And there's been times in practice it looks like it's easy, and you get in the game and the same things that you thought were open just don't seem open. And so that's difficult. No matter how well we perform in practice, it'll be a different look once you get in the game.
Is James still practicing with you guys, and is he a guy down the line that could help, or is it way too early to even know?
We practiced once, and we took off yesterday, so he will be at practice today. You guys get a little bit too giddy about certain things. This is no disrespect to James, but if he is if he's a guy that we have to rely on to help us, then that doesn't seem real good. So we're looking at him as a practice guy that can come in and be a big body in practice, and so but we haven't even completed the tryout yet. I'm gonna let him practice the next 2 days, and we'll decide next week if we want to keep moving forward with it. But he seems like a really nice kid, but this is not a strategic move to add depth when you go on the road and play. That's not it at all. We're looking at it as a practice type thing. But if he can get to the point, like you said, like maybe a minute or two here or there, I guess that's possible. But it would be no different than putting Clay in or Chris, something like that.
How did that whole process come about? Who initiated the interest in James and bringing him into practice?
I don't know exactly who it was, if it was James or his father. I think Coach Roberts saw him at a football game or after a football game or something, and they said somehow, my son averaged 19 and 11 or whatever in JUCO last year, and so no one told me about it, and I called David, and of course David's great, and he was totally open to him coming out and doing that.
Have you ever, as a basketball coach, even somewhere else along the line, had to go to a football team to kind of pick out somebody to help you out?
We did it at Illinois. Illinois had a wide receiver that actually played in the NFL, a kid named Walter Young, and he was a good high school player. And for whatever reason, we were short on depth in practice, not in games, in practice, and so we went and got Walter, and he came out and helped us for the rest of the year. So yeah, we've done it before. I don't think it has anything to do that he played football. I think it was just that we thought that was the best possibility on campus. So.
Bill, you've got about 5 guys that will average around 600 points, and you could argue would be headed to some kind of honors at the end of the season if they continue this. Is this, you've had great balance before, but is this, as far as scoring wise, having multiple options?
Yeah, I think this is good. We're not going to score this many points. The points we're scoring, it's inflated. It is with everybody. Everybody scores more points in non-conference. You get into conference play. By the time you play somebody a second time, you're just trying to figure out a way to score as opposed to trying to think about how many. And so, we've got 5 guys, and you could say Mitch and Marcus, but the reality of it is we've got 5 guys that I think are all easily capable of getting 20, any night. And I think everybody has done that so far. Maybe Malik got 19 one game or something. But Svi has, Devontae has, Doak has, LeGerald has, and maybe Malik has. So I would say there'd be few teams in America that would have that many guys that could probably, put up some pretty big numbers. So I do like balance, but if we had a guy that was averaging 25 a game, I'd like that too. But certainly I think balance is hard to guard.
Coach, piggybacking off of that, what does that say about the chemistry of this team to where people can distribute the ball and get it to various players on the floor?
I do think our chemistry offensively is pretty good. I do think they like each other, and that sounds like coach speak, but that's important. I think they like playing with each other. So, obviously, if a guy feels like he's being froze out, then he's not going to be near as willing to make the pass on time, on target to the next guy. And I think all teams go through that throughout a season, but right now our chemistry seems to be pretty good in sharing the ball. So I think it's good, but it's also early, and so we'll hope that the attitudes and the unselfishness continues, and I think it will. But sometimes it's not the unselfish play that gets you. It's not selfish play that gets you. It's the selfish thoughts. So when a kid or whatever starts thinking something that maybe is a little bit non-team centered, and which would make it selfish, then even though it may not have the appearance on the court of affecting you, it does affect your chemistry. And right now, I feel like everybody's playing pretty much with a free mind.